Lords, give us leave, the Prince of Wales, and I must have some private conference, but be near at hand, for we shall presently have need of you.
I know not whether God will have it so. For some displeasing service I have done, that in his secret doom out of my blood he'll breed revengement and a scourge for me. But thou dost in thy passages of life make me believe that thou art only marked for the hot vengeance and the rod of heaven to punish my mistreatings. Tell me else, could such inordinate and low desires, such poor, such bare, such lewd, such mean attempts, such barren pleasures rule society as thou art matched with and grafted to, accompany the greatness of thy blood and hold their level with thy princely heart? I so please your majesty, I would I could quit all offenses with this clear excuse. As well as I am doubtless I can purge myself of many I am charged with through. Yet such extenuation let me beg, as in reproof of many tales devised, which off the ear of greatness needs must hear by smiling pickfacks and bait newsmongers. I may for some things true, wherein my youth hath faulty wandered and irregular, find pardon on my true submission. God pardon thee, you let me wonder, Harry, at thy affections which do hold a wing quite from the flight of all thy ancestors. The present counsel thou hast rudely lost, which by thy younger brother is supplied. Thou art almost an alien to the hearts of all the court, and princes of my blood, the hope and expectation of thy time is ruined, and the soul of every man prophetically did thou forethink thy fall. Had I so lavish of my presence been, so common hackneyed in the eyes of men, so stale and cheap to vulgar company, opinion that did help me to the crown, and still kept loyal to possession, and left me in repulseless banishment. A fellow of no mark, no likelihood, but being seldom seen, I could not stir, and like a comet I was wondered at, that men would tell their children this is he. Others would say we're rich as bowling broke, and then I stole all courtesy from heaven, and dressed myself in such humility, that I did pluck allegiance from men's hearts, loud shouts and salutations from their mouth, even in the presence of the crown king. Thus did I keep my person fresh and new, my presence like a rope of difficult. There seemed but one that ended, so I stayed. Seldom the sumptuous showed like a feast, and one by ran is such solemnity. This dripping king he ambled up and down, with shallow gestures and rasp of wits, soon kindled and soon burned, heart in his stain, mingled his royalty with giggling fools. His great name profaned with discourse, and gave his countenance against his name, to laugh at keeping boys stand the push of every builder's aim comparative, who were companion to the common streets, infused himself to popularity. The pain daily swallowed by men's eyes, his surf faded with honey, and began to loathe the taste of sweetness, whereof a little more than a little is by much too much. So when he had occasion to be seen, it was but as the cuckoo is in June, not regarded, seen but with such eyes that sick and wanted with community, offered no extraordinary gaze, such as is bent on sunlight majesty, when it shines seldom in admiring eyes, but rather drowsed and hung their eyelids down, slept in his face and rendered such aspect as cloudy men used to their adversaries. Being with his presence good and gorged to full, and in that very line Harry standest thou, for thou hast lost thy princely privilege with foul participation, not an eye. So weary of thy common sight, save mine which hath desired to see thee more, which now doth that I would not have it do, make blind itself with foolish tenderness. I shall hereafter my Christ gracious Lord be more myself. I shall hereafter my thy gracious Lord be more myself. For all the world, as thou art to this hour was Richard then, when I from France set foot at Ravensburg, and even as I was then is mercy now. By my scepter and my soul to boot, he hath more worthy interest to the state than thou the shadow of succession. For of no right, no color left to right, he doth fill fields with harness, the realm turns head against the lion's armed jaws, and being no more in debt to years than thou, leads ancient lords and reverend bishops on to bloody battles and to bruising arms, would never die in honor hath he got against renowned Douglas, whose high deeds, whose hot incursions, and great name in arms. From all soldiers, chief majority, and military title capital, through all the kingdoms that acknowledge Christ, thrice hath this Hotspur, Mars and swathily clothes his infant warrior. In his enterprises, discomfited great Douglas 10 at once, enlarged him and made a friend of him, to fill the mouth of deep defiance up and shake the peace and safety of our throne. Now what say you to this, Percy Northumberland, the Archbishop's Grace of York, Douglas Mortimer, capitulate against us. Now up. But wherefore do I tell these news to thee? Why, Harry, do I tell these news to thee? Which are my nearest and dearest enemy? Thou that art like enough the vassal fear, base inclination and a star's spleen, to fight against me under Percy's pay, to dog his heels and curtsy in his frowns, to show how much thou art degenerate.
Do not think so, you shall not find me so. And God forgive them that so much I swayed. Your majesty's put thoughts away from me. I will redeem all this on Percy's head, and in the causing of some glorious day, be bold to tell you that I am your son, when I will wear a garment all of blood, and stain my favors in a bloody mob, which washed away shall scour my shame. And then shall be the day when there is lights, that the same child of honor and renown, this gallant Hotspur, this all-praised knight. And you're a thought of Harry chance to me, for every honor sitting on his helm, would they were multitudes. And on my head my shames redouble, foot on my head my shames redouble, for the time will come that I shall make this northern youth exchange his glorious deeds for my indignities. Percy is thought my fact, good my lord, to engross some glorious deeds on my behalf, and I will call him to some strict account, that he shall render every glory up. Yeah, even the slightest worship of his time, or I will tear the reckoning from his heart. This in the name of God I promise here, the which if he be pleased I shall perform. I do beseech your majesty may solve the long-grown wounds of my intemperance. If not, the end of life cancels all plans, and I will die 100,000 deaths. Here break the smallest parcel of this vow.
100,000 rebels die in this. Thou shalt have charge and sovereign trust herein. How now, good blunt, thy looks are full of speed.
So hath the business that I come to speak of. Lord Mortimer of Scotland has sent word that Douglas and the English rebels met the 11th of this month at Shrewsbury. A mighty and a fearful head they are, if promises be kept on every hand, as ever offer foul play in the state.
The Earl of Westmoreland set forth today, with him my son, Lord John of Lancaster. For this advertisement is 5 days old. On Wednesday next, Harry, you shall set forward. On Thursday, we ourselves will march. Our meeting is Bridgenorth. And Harry, you shall march through Gloucestershire, by which account our business value. Some 12 days hence, our general forces at Bridgenorth shall meet. Our hands are full of business. Let's away, let's away, let's away.